Hello, Sagittarius. My name is Vincent, and this is a reading for all the Sagittarius placements out there. I am doing your reading using the Yohualli Ehécatl deck by MiCorazonMexica. I will make sure I put it down in the description for those of you who fall in love with it the same way that I have. Its imagery is based on indigenous Mexican traditions and stories, so it's very beautiful artwork. So I have already actually drawn a single card for you to start off and to kind of get a sense of what the theme is for you today. And we have Chocholoki, or El Tonto, the Fool. And I love that there's like a little chihuahua back here, or maybe it's like a hairy Xoloitzcuintli. But it's so freaking cute. Look at that. This card obviously symbolizes things such as new beginnings, embarking on new ventures, leaving behind past grievances and moving forward feeling purified and clean and free and unburdened. Modern readers typically associate this card with the planet Uranus as well, so I do want to mention the fact that today, the day that I'm recording this reading for you, Uranus is actually crossed into Gemini for the first time in about 84 years, and will remain there for about 8 years, give or take. And there's bound to be a lot of stuff happening, especially in the States, as many astrologers have been talking about, but I don't want to get into that. I do want to emphasize that it is entering into an angle with your sign Sagittarius, because it does rule your 7th house, which typically rules like your one-on-one partnerships, contracts, also sometimes even themes such as death or transition. So over the next several years is probably going to be bringing those themes up for you to be reevaluated and perhaps revolutionized in some way, so that you can move forward into a new phase as promised by the Fool card. I do also, like, I'm getting so fixated on this little dog in the background. Typically it's like a albino white looking dog, and usually in most traditional decks, especially the Rider-Waite deck, I just love that it's a little chihuahua and it's kind of pudgy looking. And to me it kind of emphasizes this sense of playfulness, this sense of joviality, when moving into whatever this new phase is, this new tabula rasa state of mind, where you're no longer burdened by previous behavioral or thought patterns. Maybe since it's the 7th house, you're no longer dating a specific type of person anymore, not getting fixated on specific personality traits or perhaps physical characteristics in your partners. But overall carrying with you a lightheartedness and a willingness to be playful and to appreciate the little joys in life. And I feel like it's hard to do that when we're burdened with dark memories of the past, or with expectations of failure. So maybe what this process that's beginning for you is going to do is to allow you to leave those things behind. I know I'm beating a dead horse. Next card we have for you is Yohualli, Lady of Hearts. This could be like the Queen of Cups equivalent. And this card very often represents, while it can represent like an actual person in your life, whether it's you or another person in your life, or maybe an aspect of yourself, usually water sign or somebody who exhibits those traits. So water signs, we have Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. But whoever this person is, they're very generous, they're very loving, very nurturing. Like, for me, this card represents like the loving Mexican grandmother. I don't know some of you aren't going to be very familiar with that sort of archetype, but those of you who are brought up in a household with a Mexican grandmother, you can kind of connect with the archetype of a motherly figure who wants to make sure that you're always fed, you're always cared for, that you're loved, your cheeks have been pinched and kissed, and you have lipstick all over you, and you have a full plate that if you don't finish is going to offend this motherly figure. Like, they want you to be properly cared for and supported and to feel like you're the most incredible and capable person there is. Like, this is that type of person. It can also represent the process of divination. That's another aspect of the Lady of Cups, or the Lady of Hearts. She corresponds with, or rather she interfaces with, the inherent symbology of the manifest universe, perceiving signs of the future, of what's to come in the shapes in the clouds, or in the specific movement of the sea if they're looking out at the sea, or looking up at the stars and seeing specific geometric configurations, like these two stars are rising at the same time, or this planet and this planet are forming a geometrical relationship. Like, this kind of I keep wanting to say correspondence. It's not the word I'm looking for. Maybe conference. In either case, they're braiding all these different modalities of interpreting the cosmos and their own place within it, and the place that each person in their life holds within it as well. In order to have a greater understanding of where it is that they're going and why it is that they're going in the direction that's in front of them. So this could represent you. I mean, obviously you're watching this video, you're trying to interface with the less tangible metaphysical aspect of your reality in order to better understand things. But I think fundamentally what this card also represents and also connects to for me is like the High Priestess card, which is interfacing with your own intuition and your own understanding of things. It could be that I say a specific phrase or a specific word that triggers a tangent in your own mind, and you explore a concept that you're dealing with whatever situations are arising in your life right now, and come to even greater understanding of that situation and why it's happening and what import it has for you moving forward. So basically it's like listening to the signs and the intimations, the cosmic intimations that stand out to you. Because obviously, in some respects, everything in the universe is significant, but that perspective also kind of dilutes things, because if everything's significant, then fundamentally nothing is significant, because it's just happening. Some lights are brighter than others. Some stars are shining brighter than other stars. So it's kind of that same principle where certain things are more emphasized for specific purposes. And I think you'll be able to know the difference, and you'll be able to determine which ones are more relevant for you and which ones aren't. So, kind of a long, roundabout explanation of this card and what's coming up. Excuse me, I'm drinking some home-brewed kombucha. It's delicious, but it makes me a little burpy sometimes. So, apologies in advance. We're going to draw a couple more cards for you, Sagittarius, because I want to get more of the story. This one. Ooh. We have Gemini showing up. And I'm not going to try to pronounce this Nahuatl word on camera. I mean, I guess I could. Moyo la coque. Moya la coque. Moyo la coque. Los enamorados. The lovers. Gemini. Your 7th house, where Uranus is, and also where Venus is for the next little while. Certainly not 7 or 8 years like Uranus will be, but there's definitely a little exclamation point on where Gemini is in your chart and on the significations it holds for you. I think it's also important to consider the entire air triplicity. Since Uranus will be in that 7th house for so long, it's also activating the sign of Libra and the sign of Aquarius for you. So take stock of where those 3 signs, Gemini, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, wow, where they fall in your chart. And consider the themes that it's bringing up for you. But this card can also represent a situation involving choice, involving decisions, involving the consideration of opposing binary perspectives and trying to marry or bring them together within a unified theory. Maybe with regards to what I was kind of talking about with the divinatory practices and kind of consulting with the oracle, so to speak, interfacing with the metaphysical reality. Maybe this can also represent a process of trying to find a paradigm that allows you to consider these things within what you already understand of practical, tangible reality. Maybe attempting to, and I'm saying this before any Hierophant card comes out. Hierophant would be more of an emphasis on this aspect of things, but we're going to loosely explore the theme of maybe ascribing to a specific ideology or religion that allows you to explore these themes within a framework that supports them. I think that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But it might be a process that you're undergoing right now. Yeah, because the 7th house, in addition to being the house of partnership, I also personally sort of think of the 7th house as the way in which the cosmos reflects you back to yourself through other people or through the world around you, the environment around you. But fundamentally, everything is reflecting an aspect of yourself back at you. And so if there's something that you see that you don't like, it's probably something within yourself that you haven't integrated or come to terms with in some way. And so maybe that's something to explore and to hold space for. That's kind of what I'm getting with this card here. She's exploring that space. She's trying to understand, rather than judging something as being something she dislikes or hates, she's trying to understand why it is that her mind is making those judgments in the first place, and getting sort of to the root core principle behind what's happening and unfolding in her emotional experience, rather than being very mercurial, wanting to sort things into specific categories and have everything broken down like that. It's like, instead of trying to define something without necessarily understanding it, she is searching for the meaning and the understanding of said meaning. Again, I hope that makes sense. I feel like I say that 1,000 times in each reading, but I really I feel like there's so much abstract energy that I discuss, and I'm obviously having a sort of monologue. Like, there's no way for me to know what you guys are thinking as I'm saying these things, so I don't know. I just want to make sure that it's coming across effectively. I'm going to draw a couple more cards for you. We got this one. How did I know this card was going to come out? Warrior of Staves, Topiliao Kitski. I always forget if this is more Page or Knight of Wands, but for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really matter. I consider this Warrior, maybe Knight. It just has kind of pagey imagery. This can actually represent a person, could represent you, especially since it does, activate the fire triplicity. So we got Aries, Leo, or you, Sagittarius, showing up here, or it can be somebody else in your life. But to me, fundamentally, this is embarking on a new venture, on having invited a new sense of purpose into your life. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. So I kind of look down, and there's like a little conversation happening between these two cards. And it's coming to me through a story, specifically the story of Snow White. And the themes of this story don't necessarily have to connect with your personal experience. I think it's just a way of conveying their relationship with one another. So the evil stepmother in Snow White, she instructs the huntsman to go and retrieve the heart of Snow White for her. And this to me represents the huntsman. He is doing her bidding. This can represent maybe your heart desire and your will acting on a part of your desire or on a part of your soul urges, your soul stirring. Because to me, this doesn't feel like it's tainted with lower mind, like empty, useless desire. Like, I want a new car and I want shiny things and I want this pretty boy or this pretty girl to be my partner. Like, she's fundamentally evolved beyond that. Her desires are more of a spiritual nature. She wants liberation. She wants things like world peace. She wants enlightenment and fundamental understanding and connection with the universe. Sometimes for its own sake, but mostly for sake of improving her own life and the environment around her, because she is aware of her connection and interdependence within the fabric and network of reality. And I apologize in advance if the sound of lawnmowers gets too loud. Got some landscapers nearby, so it's probably going to get a little noisy for a bit. I'll try to speak up. But yeah, it's like she's identified what it is that she wants. And because of this expression taking place with water and fire elements, and I don't, other than, I guess Gemini here, there's not a lot of air or earth. So it's sort of like, I don't think, just because the desire has been identified doesn't mean that you or someone else fundamentally understands the steps, the practical steps necessary to make said desire come to fruition. Just kind of acting and trusting and going with it and rolling with the punches and trusting that you have a goal in mind. You don't know how you're going to get there, but you're going. And you're just trusting the process, trusting that you're going to get where it is that you're trying to go. Very unlike the reading I just did for Scorpio, who's very much, in that Mars and Virgo mode of sorting things into an outline and really determining the steps necessary to get to where they're going. It seems more like you're going on faith, taking a leap of faith. You've emptied your mind of expectations. You've emptied your mind of attempts to control every little thing. You've burnt the spreadsheets. you've tossed away the outline, and you're just going with it and trusting divine inspiration to flow through you on a moment by moment basis to get you to where it is that you're going. That's what I'm seeing with these cards. And I'm going to draw one more card for you and see how it connects with this story that we're exploring here. I don't know why it's coming up right now, but I'm also seeing like somebody cooking in the kitchen, and like instead of following a recipe, they have the basic ingredients in mind and kind of a sense of what it is that they want to make. They're not measuring, they're not really sure of the proper steps of preparation, but they're just kind of throwing these things together and hoping for the best. And I feel like things are still in process. Like, I don't know what the end result is, like if that specific dish is actually going to taste good or not. Like, I don't feel like we're there in the process yet. We're like in the middle of the journey. We're on our way to something. You're in that intermediate phase between the beginning and the end. Okay. Now we have the Hanged Man. Let's see if I can pronounce this one. Tlacapiloli. El Cogado. Beautiful card though, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. Now the Hanged Man is typically associated with Pisces, I believe. But just because of all the sort of reddish crimson imagery, I'm thinking more fire sign. I'm actually thinking more you, Sagittarius, on the basis of the fact that your sign is the sign which leads up to the Capricorn southern solstice point and really divides the zodiac in half into a sagittal plane, Sagittarius, sagittal. You know, it divides the zodiac between the northern solstice and the southern solstice. And you are leading right to the bottom, right to the very bottom, right to the most southern point, which begins Capricorn. And I think like this sort of suspension in the underworld it could be why you are typically associated with things such as faith and spirituality and deeper understandings, religion. I'm also getting the sense that maybe you're exploring things such as meditation, psychedelic experiences, visionary experiences in some way, maybe lucid dreaming, tarot readings, hi. But it's like you've recognized the value in these different tool sets to help you understand. And as I'm saying this, I just like immediately got fixated on the butterfly that the female figure here is pointing at. And it was like, what does a butterfly mean? Like, not necessarily emphasizing the actual symbolic value of the butterfly, but the act of identifying or questing towards the meaning of a specific happenstance. Like, that seems very relevant to your story right now. Paying attention to the hooting owls is what I heard. Even like specific colors coming up. It's really interesting. This card also represents the process of suspending, putting your beliefs and thoughts and expectations of specific sets of information, specific religious or spiritual paths, even dietary choices, suspending those perceptions and instead being open to the value that they might be able to impart to you, trying to see things from a different perspective, from a perspective that even allows you to see the value in maybe not the entire paradigm of ideology, whatever specific ideology is relevant to this discussion, but aspects within it. Maybe taking things piecemeal and bringing them together into a cohesive unit. Again, going back to what I was saying earlier about having a unified theory within which you're able to understand and interface with the cosmos. So another interpretation of these cards that I'm also getting, since we do have this progression of, the Lovers to the Queen of Hearts, the Lady of Hearts, to this wandering warrior of staves, I also get the story of, in relationship, one party coming to terms with their feelings about the other person and maybe expressing those feelings and saying, oh, I'm in love with you and I want to build a life with you and I want to explore what this means years into the future, and the other person kind of being like, whoa, I want my independence, I'm gonna go take a break from you, or I think we should separate and I should go and explore my options in typical fire sign fashion. Wanting to sort of play and not take things so seriously and so heavily as this more watery approach would have it. And that can I can see that as playing out with Gemini going into your 7th house, maybe having to deal with more independent-minded figures in relationship, maybe even sort of coming to terms with your own, I hesitate to say commitment issues, but that can be something that's coming up. Like maybe you don't want to be in relationship. And again, as I'm saying, you can take this as representing the other party in your situation, or representing you personally. But this reckoning with wanting to be single and independent and having time to yourself and being free to interact with whoever you want to interact with on whatever level you feel is appropriate for that connection, and not wanting to restrict or constrict yourself to a limiting, and I say that with quotes because it's all about your perception and about your own beliefs and desires, limiting agreement which restricts you to only being able to interface in this specific way with this specific person. In terms of like a monogamous relationship, you make the commitment to this person to fully explore the boundaries and limits of a one-on-one connection on every level, and limit your interactions with other people to only above a specific threshold or below a specific threshold, however you want to visualize it. And so maybe that's a theme that's going to be coming up for you a lot. And maybe Uranus to me very much embodies the sort of midlife crisis cultural archetype that we have. So maybe this story also represents you choosing to leave behind a marriage or a relationship or a specific paradigm that you have held around what a relationship is and should be. And instead exploring what it means to be you for yourself, as opposed to being you within a dynamic. And that can involve going off and being on your own, being single, and exploring whatever that means for you. But I'm also hearing, like, with this card, it's like, I'll wait for you. Like, you go and do what you need to do, but at the end of the day, when you're ready to come to bed and you're ready to relax again, I'll still be here holding space for you. I'll still be here with food on the table. Going back to that Mexican grandmother archetype, like, this is also very specific interpretation, but maybe something about one party in the relationship needing to travel for something, specifically like south of the equator. And in that journey, maybe needing to reconnect with or rediscover their passion and their zest for life, their taste and their desire for life and for what it has to offer. And in order to fully do that, needing to separate from a partnership. Literally or figuratively going into the underworld. and returning with the fruits, the forbidden fruits. Eating the pomegranate. Oh no. Yeah, I would like to be able to say what the end result of all this is, but I feel like, as always, it's up to you and the choices that you make. But I think this is also, the timing is not for the results just yet. You've started the journey and you're currently on the journey. Things are in motion right now, and we don't know where the pieces are going to land, but they're moving. We're moving. We're going somewhere. There is a progression here, which is good. Things aren't stagnating. I also don't feel like things are necessarily uproarious. Like, I don't feel like there's anything violent or terribly aggressive about the circumstances that you're contending with. So that's good. Things are just kind of like steadily moving in a specific direction. And it kind of feels easy. Like, as I'm saying this, I'm seeing like a creek flowing unimpeded. And it's not rushing. It's also not like really slowly trickling. It's like a nice steady stream, just flowing, and it's clear. But again, I don't know where the stream is taking you. I don't think you do either. Maybe you have a general shape of an idea in your head. I'll be curious to see what comes up in your next reading, because I think this is kind of interesting. I'm invested in this story. I want to know what happens. So if you found this reading relevant, or elements of it relevant to you, feel free to share in the comments, because I feel kind of like I'm watching a very interesting soap opera with this spread, and I'm invested. I want to know more. So tell me more, if you will. But as far as this reading goes, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. And I hope the best for you, Sagittarius. Tell me more. All right, take care. Ooh.